Welcome to the interactive video game museum LVLup, where you can play the history. And today we will talk about one fascinating piece of technology. It was ahead of its time and failed only due to the underfunding and the really bad timing. We're talking today about the legendary and at the same time unknown Vectrex. The year 1982. Michael Jackson's Thriller is on TV. The first American woman went to the space, and one tiny company is fighting against giants of the game industry with their new and unique home video game console that looks like a tiny representation of the arcade cabinet, with a built-in handle and a controller that can clip into the body of the main unit. There was nothing like this ever made through all of the colorful home video game console history. There are machines that can look close enough, but none of them are crazy as this thing. And when you add vector graphics to the table, this becomes a real museum piece.
Give up my Atari?
My television?
How about for this?
You bet your asteroid.
Introducing the revolutionary Vectrex arcade system. No TV set needed. Instead, Vectrex has a real arcade screen built in. So you get challenging real arcade graphics and sounds with every Vectrex cartridge. No wonder Vectrex was chosen 2-to-1 over Atari and Intellivision for real arcade gameplay.
And now let's look at this magnificent piece of technology in detail. We are starting with the unclipping of the gamepad from the bottom of the console. It has a cool arcadey look. The gamepad consists of self-centering analog metal joystick and 4 numbered buttons. The coil cord is well made and very comfortable to use. It's quite flexible. And now let's unplug the controller to look at more detail. On the left you can see a quite big speaker grill. And on the right, 2 gamepad ports. There is a button to reset the system, and then next to it is an on-off and at the same time volume control dial. On the bottom of the unit's right side you can see a horizontal cartridge port. On the top rear there is a brightness control, and on the bottom rear there is a permanent AC power cord. All of the back of the console consists of openings for ventilation. Also on the top there is a recession for lifting and carrying the console. In 2 years the similar design will be used by Apple for their first Macintosh computers. At the same time let's look at the box of the Vectrex. It's quite big, rectangular and silver. Inside there is not only a console, but a gamepad, owner's manual and instructions with a color overlay for the built-in game. There were plans for many great peripherals for the Vectrex console, but in the end only 2 were produced. In early 1984, a light pen and a 3D imager headset were introduced and released in limited quantities. The light pen, which plugged into the second controller port and came bundled with the Art Master cartridge, allowed direct drawing and interaction on the Vectrex monitor. The 3D imager came bundled with 3D Mindstorm and utilized spinning color wheels specific to a game to create one of the most convincing home 3D effects of that time. We are really sad that we don't have those peripherals in our museum, but maybe one day we will find them. This beautiful machine has a tiny game library. Only 28 official games were released. All of them were produced in-house by General Consumer Electronics. They are usually clones of famous arcade games, but have a really high quality standard and are pretty easy to play. The box for the game is made out of the cardboard, and the packaging in the box is quite unique, because next to the game card there is always a translucent screen. The colorful overlays are needed to fight with the monochrome CRTs used in the Vectrex, and they're giving additional information and this kind of unique aesthetic to the games. Translucent, semi-transparent overlay also reduces the flicker of the vector monitor. The only problem for the developer was that those overlays were designed only after the game was near the finish of the development. So that means after the design of the overlay, the game had to be adjusted for the new overlay. But of course, those overlays really enhanced the presentation of the games on the Vectrex and are remaining as the most iconic element of the design.
What I like about those boxes is that they really represent the real game. One game, Mindstorm, is built into the system and can be played if the cartridge is absent.
見せてあげよう。ベクトルスキャン。映像はここまで進化した。圧倒的迫力で未来を打つ、未来を描く。コンピュータプレイは未体験ゾーンへ。ベクトルスキャン映像、高速線。
And now, let's get deep into the history of Vectrex. The project got its start in 1980, when one of the designers at Smiths Engineering by the name of John Ross went with his co-workers to the big storage of 1-inch monitors that had a really cheap price. He got a crazy idea: what if we will build a portable console with those CRT monitors inside? And with that idea he went to the owner of the Smiths Engineering, the J. Smith himself. And you know what? J. Smith was impressed with the idea, so all of the companies started prototyping the new portable console. The temporary name of the project was Mini Arcade. Smiths Engineering and J. Smith himself already had experience with portable video game systems. He was the designer of quite famous Microvision that was made for Milton Bradley in 1979. This was the first cartridge-based handheld video game system and kinda revolutionized the market at the moment. And of course we have it in the museum, but that's totally another story for another video. So let's get back to the Vectrex. The year is 1981. The Vectrex will come out in 1 year, but just in this year many things will change. The concept for additional funding was offered to the Kenner company that was producing toys. And in the beginning Kenner was interested, but they wanted to change a bit the concept and have a 5-inch monitor and a bigger body to appeal to a wider audience of possible buyers. So the additional work was done, but after a while the Kenner company declined the project. So the Smiths Engineering had to find another sponsor, and of course in the end they found General Consumer Electronics that were willing to help them. But the thing is that now it looked more like a tabletop with a 9-inch screen. So the project changed a lot in 2 years of development. Because of the copyright concerns, the Mini Arcade name couldn't be used. In the end, the Vectrex was chosen to be the iconic name of this system. The project was officially unveiled to the public on the Summer Consumer Electronics Show, and the reception was quite positive. So in 1982, in Northern America, the Vectrex was released, and it was done in time for the holiday season. After the successful launch, Milton Bradley got interested in the Vectrex project, and they bought General Consumer Electronics outright. In 1983, thanks to the strong financial foundation and worldwide reach, Milton Bradley was able to bring the console to the Europe, and through the agreement with the Bandai, the console came to the Japan. So almost all of the world saw the Vectrex. Despite the strong start and continuous technological innovation, the Vectrex success was short-lived. In 1984, the great video game crash crushed the Vectrex project with it. The industry as whole was destroyed, and of course, a small Vectrex couldn't stand against such an enemy. Milton Bradley lost tens of millions of dollars on the project of Vectrex through all of its lifespan. In the May of 1984, Milton Bradley merged with Hasbro, and the project as a whole was cancelled. The console was discontinued worldwide.
Despite being a commercial failure, the Vectrex was and is still highly praised for its software library, graphical capabilities, and unique look. There is a small and dedicated community. There are even new games produced for the console, and I'm really happy to have 2 of those consoles in our museum with the original box. At the moment, we give our visitors possibility to play this console, and it still works, but I don't know how long it will be possible. I love this console, and I really try to showcase it to everyone coming to our place, because it's really unique and it adds this flavor to the video game market. And I'm more interested in talking about Vectrex than Atari 2600, because yes, that's a popular console, it has a great legacy, but in the end, it's not so far away from the other competitors on the market. But Vectrex is something special. So if you are interested in this channel, you can always subscribe. We're just starting our adventure on the YouTube, and we will try to improve our quality while the time is passing by. Thank you.